Hello friends, now we will discuss dural venous sinuses. Dural venous sinuses are the spaces between the endosteal and meningeal layers of the dura mater, except at the lower margin of falx cerebri, and where falx cerebri meets the tentorium cerebelli, there you see inferior sagittal sinus and straight sinus. Coming to the features of dural venous sinuses, they are lined with endothelium, they are devoid of muscle coat, they are valvulous, and their main job is to absorb CSF and collect blood from brain, meninges, diploic veins, orbit and internal ear. So these are called as dural venous sinuses because they are located in the dura mater. As you know already, dura mater has two layers, outer endosteal and inner meningeal, where separate these occupy. And they are mainly classified into two parts, two types, unpaired and paired. Unpaired are superior sagittal, inferior sagittal, straight, occipital, anterior and posterior cavernous, basilar, and they lie in midline, sagittal plane. Whereas paired are transverse, sigmoid, cavernous, superior and inferior petrosal, spinoparietal, petrosquamous, and middle meningeal. And when you see the sagittal view of the cranial cavity with intact these dural folds, here you can see along the convex attached margin of the falx cerebri, you will see superior sagittal sinus, and along the free inferior margin you will see inferior sagittal sinus, and where both the folds meet, that is falx cerebri with the tentorium cerebelli, you are seeing straight sinus, and along the posterior margin of the tentorium cerebelli you are seeing right and left transverse sinus, and along the petrosal bone, superior petrosal and inferior petrosal, on either side of the pituitary fossa you are seeing cavernous there. You can trace here transverse, sigmoid, superior and inferior petrosal, both cavernous, petrosquamous, and middle meningeal. Among the dural venous sinuses, important are cavernous sinus because they are related to important cranial nerves. Cavernous sinuses are paired sinuses situated on each side of the body of the sphenoid, or I can say pituitary gland, containing important structures. So it extends from the superior orbital fissure to the apex of the pentris temporal bone. Length is around 2 cm, breadth is 1 cm. Structure passing through it are two important structures, that is internal cavitary artery and abducent nerve. Whereas in the lateral wall, it is related to four structures. You can see there from below upwards: maxillary, ophthalmic division of trigeminal, trochlear, and oculomotor. You can remember as MOTO, moto, from below upwards. And this cavernous sinus is related to the pituitary gland and sphenoidal ear sinus, medially and below, and laterally and above it is related to the trigeminal nerve, temporal lobe, and optic chiasma. You can see above it is related to the optic chiasma, below it is related to the skull base containing the sphenoidal ear sinus that we already discussed. Medially and below, pituitary gland and sphenoidal ear sinus, laterally trigeminal and temporal lobe of the brain. Coming to the tributaries, as we already discussed, these dural venous sinuses drain the orbit, ear, brain, and skull bones. And this cavernous sinus is communicating with the transverse sinus, internal jugular vein, trigonoidal plexus, opposite cavernous sinus, and facial vein and superior sagittal sinus. Because of its contents and relations, cavernous sinus is very important. Any thrombosis of cavernous sinus may cause damage to these cranial nerves, especially these trochlear, oculomotor, and abducent nerves, which supply the muscles of the eyeball, extrinsic muscles of the eyeball. So any cavernous sinus thrombosis may cause ophthalmoplegia, paralysis of the extrinsic muscles of the eyeball. And here you can see the two cavernous sinuses are communicated by the anterior and posterior cavernous sinus, and it receives three veins from the orbit: superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, and central vein of retina, that you can see here. And if you want to see the dural venous sinuses, we will take out these coverings here. So first you are seeing the dura mater and arachnoid mater, then you are seeing these vessels. Already we have discussed here. You can see in the subarachnoid space these cerebral vascular structures are there. You can see there. We are removing the entire right cerebral hemisphere now. Now you can see that is Fox cerebri, the right lateral view you are seeing. Once you zoom it in, here you can see the superior sagittal sinus draining the superficial cerebral veins. So superior sagittal sinus lies within the convex attached margins of the Fox cerebri. It begins at the crista galli and ends at the junction between the Fox cerebri and tentorium cerebelli, where it will continue usually as a right transverse sinus. Sometimes it's bifurcated into right and left transverse sinus, but usually it will continue as a right transverse. You can see that there is superior sagittal sinus draining the superficial cerebral veins. There you can see. So it begins at this point, that is crista galli, and runs and ends here at the internal occipital protuberance, where all sinuses meet confluence, and runs along the convex attached margin of the Fox cerebri. You can see there how it drains the brain. So it is draining the brain there, that is superficial cerebral veins. Now you will see or you can superior cerebral veins, diploic veins and emissary veins. Here you can see, once you zoom here, this side you can see intact left cerebral hemisphere, and once you zoom here you will see these structures. You can make out how that is Fox cerebri, and this is how superior sagittal sinus will continue as right transverse sinus. Transverse will continue as sigmoid, and again you are seeing this right lateral view here. Fox cerebri is there. These are superior cerebral veins. That is what we are talking about. It drains them, and also diploic vein and emissary veins, and it communicates with the extracranial veins via parietal emissary veins. You can see left side superior cerebral veins draining the top of left cerebral hemispheres and draining into superior sagittal sinus. It also contains the arachnoid granulation to absorb CSF within its cavity. The triangular section, what you see, section of this one, and that is superficial middle cerebral vein, by which it communicates with the cavernous sinus. That is very important sinus. You can see cavernous sinus. So this superior sagittal sinus communicates with the extracranial veins via parietal emissary veins and communicates with the cavernous sinus via superficial middle cerebral vein, and also communicates with the veins of the nose via foramina caecum, where it communicates, where it attaches to the crista galli. So that is about the superior sagittal sinus. And thrombus of superior sagittal sinus may take place by the spread of infection from the nose, scalp or diploic tissue. You can see here. And now along the inferior margin of Fox cerebri, you are seeing inferior sagittal sinus. It is a sinus present only within the meningeal layer. All the other sinuses lie in the two layers of dura mater, that is outer endosteal, inner meningeal, whereas inferior sagittal sinus and straight sinus are the only sinuses which lie exclusively within the meningeal layer. You can see here, this is the inferior sagittal sinus along the free lower margin of the Fox cerebri, and drains the medial surface of the cerebrum and terminates into the straight sinus, that is superior sagittal, along the convex attached margin of the Fox cerebri, and here you can see how it lies in the midline along the sagittal plane, whereas this is inferior sagittal, lies along the lower free border of the Fox cerebri, and it drains the medial surface of the cerebrum, and along with the vein of Galen, it drains into the straight sinus. You can make out here, that is the vein of the Galen, great cerebral vein of Galen, that is found by the two internal cerebral veins draining the internal part of the brain, medial and internal part of the brain. They join and drain into straight sinus. Straight sinus is also present within the meningeal layer along the attachment of falx cerebri with tentorium cerebelli, that you can see there, that is straight sinus. You can make out here, that is straight sinus draining internal inferior sagittal sinus and cerebral vein of Galen, and straight sinus usually continue as the left transverse. You can see the location here, it is in the median plane between falx cerebri and tentorium cerebelli. You can see that is superior sagittal sinus, inferior sagittal sinus. The superior sagittal will continue as right transverse, straight will continue as left transverse. You can see that is the anterior end, this is the posterior end, and all these sinuses meet there. You can see the superior sagittal sinus, straight sinus, right and left transverse sinus, and occipital sinus at the internal occipital protuberance, which is aptly named as confluence of sinuses. That is about straight sinus here. I told you all the unpaired sinuses are in the sagittal plane, in the midline. We have seen superior sagittal, inferior sagittal and straight sinus now. You can see straight sinus is draining this great cerebral vein and also this inferior sagittal sinus. Two draining sinuses what you see. And now coming to the occipital sinus, for that we have to remove the bones here. We are removing the temporal bone and the occipital bone here. This side we will remove the occipital bone so that we can have the occipital sinus which lies along the posterior attached margin of the falx cerebelli. You can see there, you can see this is the falx cerebelli and that is the vermis of the cerebellum. This is occipital sinus. So it drains occipital sinus, it drains the cerebellum and ends in the confluence of sinus, that is the internal occipital protuberance, where it joins with the superior sagittal, straight, right and left transverse sinuses. Remember that. So all these sinuses lie in the midline. And coming to the one more sinus, that is basilar venous plexus, that is basilar venous plexus lying along the clivus. It drains the anterior part of the brainstem and spinal cord. You can see there cavernous sinus is there, basilar venous plexus, and this is the cavernous sinus. The two are more unpaired venous sinus are anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus, which communicate the right and left cavernous sinus. Here you can see the right cavernous sinus, that is anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus. So these are all about the unpaired dural venous sinuses which lie in midline. Superior sagittal, inferior sagittal, straight, occipital, basilar venous plexus, anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus. Now coming to the paired dural venous sinuses. If you have the understanding of the interior of cranium, we will start from internal occipital protuberance. From posterior cranial fossa we will go anteriorly. You can see transverse sigmoid superior and inferior petrosal, cavernous, that is transverse sinus, sigmoid sinus, superior petrosal sinus, and this is inferior petrosal sinus, and there you will see this is cavernous sinus, then that is spinoparietal sinus and middle meningeal sinus. So these all are paired dural venous sinuses, right and left. You can go from internal occipital protuberance to the lesser ring of sphenoid. From posterior to anterior you will see all the venous sinuses. You can see now here above the cerebellum, that is tentorium cerebelli, along the posterior attached margin. You can see this is transverse sinus. It lies along the posterior attached margin of the tentorium cerebelli, and right is usually larger than the left one, and generally right is a continuation of the superior sagittal, left is a continuation of the straight sinus, and at master angle of the parietal bone it will continue as sigmoid sinus here, and it mainly drains the superior petrosal sinus, inferior cerebral veins, cerebellar veins and temporal diploic veins. You can see sigmoid sinus here. So transverse sinus and sigmoid sinus together called as lateral sinus. They are together called as lateral sinus. You can see that is superior petrosal sinus, by which a transverse sinus communicate with the cavernous sinus. Cavernous sinus there. Whereas you can see the internal jugular vein, the sigmoid sinus will continue as internal jugular vein there. If you zoom it here, you can see the bulb of superior bulb of internal jugular vein. Yes, you will see now, that is inferior petrosal sinus, which communicates cavernous sinus with the internal jugular vein. You can see the sigmoid sinus is continuing as internal jugular vein. So any infection from the middle ear or mastoid antrum may spread to sigmoid sinus because it drains the internal ear there. Temporal diploic vein drain the antrum, that is the superior bulb of the internal jugular vein. What you see, that is sigmoid sinus. Sigmoid sinus is a continuation of transverse sinus. Transverse is a continuation of supraparietal sinus on right side, left side straight sinus, that is cavernous sinus. You can see very important sinus because of its relation with the very important structures. It contains intercavitary artery and abducent nerve. Lateral wall is related to motor from below upwards, maxillary nerve, ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve, trochlear and oculomotor nerve. You can see there, it is located on either side of the pituitary fossa, in the middle canal fossa. You can see that is the location there, and it is communicated with the supraparietal sinus by the superficial middle cerebral vein. You can see it has numerous tributaries and communication, making it prone for infection, and its infection is very important. Why? Because of the contents. You can see middle meningeal sinus and petrosquamous sinus there, that is spinoparietal sinus, and this is where you see the cavernous sinus, the paired dural venous sinus on either side of pituitary fossa there, or median part of middle canal fossa, body of sphenoid. And you can see extent from supraorbital fissure to apex of the petrous temporal bone, around 2 cm wide, 1 cm in length. You can see, you can make out the relation there. It is closely related to the pituitary gland there. There is pituitary fossa on either side of pituitary fossa there, and also related to temporal lobe of the cerebrum. And coming to its tributaries, it drains the orbit. So superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein and central vein of the retina are its natural tributaries. It drains the orbit. So superficial middle cerebral vein, it communicates with the, it drains that and it communicates with the supraparietal sinus. This is ophthalmic veins. It drains that, and it also drains spinoparietal sinus, middle meningeal sinus. Coming to communications, you can see the communications. What are tributaries of cavernous sinus? Superior ophthalmic vein, inferior ophthalmic vein, central vein of retina. Then you will see superficial middle cerebral vein, inferior cerebral veins, spinoparietal sinus. Coming to communications, it communicates with the opposite cavernous sinus via intercavernous sinus. It communicates with the transverse sinus via superior petrosal sinus, that is the cavernous sinus, and you can see that is intercavernous, anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus, and this is superior petrosal sinus. It communicates with the transverse sinus. If you zoom, yes, you can see here. So cavernous sinus communicates with the transverse sinus via superior petrosal sinus. It communicates with the internal jugular vein via inferior petrosal sinus. So you have seen the 7 tributaries, now you have seen communications. It communicates with the opposite cavernous sinus via anterior and posterior intercavernous sinus, to transverse sinus via superior petrosal, and to the internal jugular via inferior petrosal, that you have seen now. And also communicates with the pterygoid venous plexus outside the skull, these emissary veins passing through foramina ovale. So it has communications with the outside the face, that is making prone for the infections. Thank you.